The office clock blinked 11:57 p.m., and I was still staring at the same spreadsheet I'd been fixing for 5 hours. My eyes burned, my back ached, and the hum of the fluorescent lights drilled through my skull. I rubbed my face and muttered, "One more column, Ryan, just one more." The door slammed open behind me. "Still here?" Ethan Cole's voice carried that smug amusement I'd come to hate. "Didn't I say the report was due before midnight?" I swallowed my frustration. "It's almost done, sir. I just need to verify the last quarter's data." Ethan walked in, his polished shoes clicking like a countdown. "Almost done isn't done, Miller. You know what almost done means here? Another hour of unpaid overtime?" I tried to joke, but my voice cracked halfway. He smirked. "You're funny. Maybe if you worked as hard as you joke, you'd be management by now." I clenched my fists under the desk. "Yes, sir." He leaned over my screen, his cologne choking me. You made a typo here. Fix it." "It's just the date. I said fix it." His tone snapped like a whip. "I fixed it. I always did. That's what I was known for, fixing other people's mistakes, cleaning up, staying late." Ethan straightened his tie. "Good. I need this printed and on my desk by 7 a.m. tomorrow. You'll come early." "Tomorrow's Saturday," I said before I could stop myself. "And?" His eyes narrowed. "My sister's graduation is tomorrow morning," I murmured. "I promised I'd be there." Ethan gave a cold laugh. "Promised? You can promise her another time. The company comes first. Harrison Cole doesn't stop for your family drama." I stared at the glowing screen, trying to hold back the heat building behind my eyes. "Understood." He turned to leave, but paused at the door. "You should be grateful, Miller. Most people your age are begging for overtime." When he left, the room felt emptier than ever. I stared at the spreadsheet again, but all the numbers blurred. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, frozen. The clock hit 12:30. My phone buzzed, a message from Emma. "We missed you tonight. Rye." "It wasn't the same without you," I typed back. "Sorry. Work emergency." Then I deleted it. I didn't have the strength to lie anymore. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "What am I even doing?" I whispered to myself. The cleaning lady, Maria, passed by and gave me a sad smile. "Still here, Mr. Ryan?" "Yeah," I said. "Guess I'm part of the furniture now." She laughed softly. "You need to go home sometime." "Home's just another place I disappoint people." Maria shook her head. "No job worth that, mijo." Her words hit harder than they should have. When she left, the silence swallowed me again. I thought about my sister, her wide smile, the way she waved at me every time I dropped her off for class. I imagined her standing on that stage today, scanning the crowd for me. She probably thought I didn't care. Ethan's voice replayed in my head. "You should be grateful." Grateful for what? For losing every piece of my life to a job that didn't even know my birthday? I stood up, pacing between cubicles. The office was a graveyard. Dark monitors, empty chairs, half-drunk coffee cups. My reflection in the glass window looked like a ghost. I whispered, "You traded your soul for a paycheck." The words felt too true. I sank into my chair again, fingers trembling as I opened my email. My resignation letter was half-written. I'd started it 100 times but never sent it. I read the first line. "Dear Mr. Cole, I can no longer continue under these conditions." I laughed bitterly and deleted it again. "Coward," I muttered to myself. "You'll never leave." The elevator dinged suddenly. Ethan's voice echoed from the hall. "Still not done, Miller?" My stomach twisted. "Just finishing the report." He checked his watch. "You've been finishing it for hours." "It's perfect now," I said, trying to sound steady. He smirked. "Good. Then start the quarterly projection too. I'll need that Monday," I blinked. "Sir, that's not my department." He shrugged. "It is now. You're capable, right?" "Capable doesn't mean disposable," I muttered under my breath. He turned sharply. "What was that?" "Nothing." "Thought so." He smirked and left again, the door slamming behind him. The sound echoed through me like thunder. I stood there, shaking. Not from fear this time, but something else. Rage. I packed my bag slowly. Each click of the zipper felt final. I looked around one last time, the cubicles, the flickering lights, the company logo that used to fill me with pride. "Goodbye, Harrison Cole," I whispered. My phone buzzed again. Emma calling. I answered. "Hey, Em, Ryan." Are you okay? You didn't even text. Mom said you've been working all week again. Yeah, I said quietly. Work's been rough. Forget work for 1 second, okay? I just wanted you to know. I'm proud of you. Even if you couldn't come today. Her words cracked something inside me. I swallowed hard. I'm proud of you too, Em. You sound tired. I am. But I think I'm done being tired. What do you mean? I looked around at the empty office one last time. You'll see. When I stepped outside, the cold air hit my face like a slap. The city lights blurred with the tears I refused to wipe. My phone buzzed again. A message from Ethan. Don't forget to come early tomorrow. Big project waiting. I typed one word back. No. Then I turned off my phone. That night, as I walked through the sleeping streets, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. It scared me, but it also lit a spark deep inside. For the first time, I wasn't working for Ethan Cole. For the first time, I was working for me. The conference room was packed, the air heavy with fake smiles and caffeine. Ethan stood at the head of the table, tapping a pen like a judge waiting to deliver a sentence. I sat near the end, clutching my notepad, praying he wouldn't notice me. All right, team, he said. Let's talk about last quarter's numbers. Miller, you're up. My throat went dry. Yes, sir. I stood and connected my laptop to the screen. The slides loaded slowly, each second stretching longer than the last. As you can see, our client retention grew. Ethan interrupted. Wait, grew? He tilted his head, grinning. You call losing 2 clients growth? The room went silent. My stomach dropped. Sir, those clients merged with another firm. It wasn't... Excuses, he said sharply. Do you all hear this? He looked around. Miller thinks he's doing great while clients walk out the door. Laughter rippled through the room, soft at first, then louder. I caught Lucas's eyes across the table. He looked away. I forced a smile. I didn't mean... Of course you didn't mean, Ethan cut in. You never mean to mess up, you just do it naturally. Someone snickered. My ears burned. I followed the plan you approved, I said quietly. Ethan's grin faded. Oh, so now it's my fault? I didn't say that. He slammed his pen on the table. Then what are you saying, Miller? Enlighten us, I froze. The words tangled in my throat. I wanted to shout that I'd carried this department on my back for years, that I'd missed birthdays, weekends, and sleep for this job, but all that came out was silence. Ethan smirked. That's what I thought. Nothing. You have nothing. The laughter came again, harsher this time. I caught Lucas whispering something to the girl next to him. She giggled. My chest tightened like a fist was squeezing it. Do you know what your biggest problem is, Miller? Ethan asked, circling the table toward me. You still think this company needs you, but it doesn't. You're replaceable. That word hit like a punch. Replaceable. He stopped beside me, close enough for everyone to see his smirk. If you disappeared tomorrow, no one here would notice. Right, team? A few people chuckled nervously. No one met my eyes, Lucas muttered. Ethan, maybe that's... Ethan turned on him. Maybe what, Lucas? Lucas went pale. Nothing. You're right, of course he agreed. He had a promotion coming. He couldn't afford to defend me. I swallowed hard. I understand, sir, I said, my voice barely holding steady. I'll review the report again. Ethan clapped me on the shoulder. That's the spirit. Learn from your mistakes instead of whining about them. The meeting went on like nothing happened. Numbers, charts, meaningless chatter, background noise against the roar in my head. I didn't hear half of it. I just stared at my notepad, watching a single drop of sweat slide onto the paper and smear the ink. When the meeting ended, everyone hurried out, pretending they had somewhere to be. I gathered my things slowly, hoping no one would see how my hands trembled. Lucas stopped near the door. Hey, Ryan, he said quietly. Don't take it personally. You know how he is? I looked at him, forcing a smile. Yeah, I know exactly how he is. He hesitated. You'll bounce back. You always do. Sure, I said. See you, Lucas. He nodded awkwardly and left. The room emptied until it was just me and the echo of Ethan's words. Replaceable. I sat there for a long minute, staring at the blank screen, until the lights flickered off on their timer. The sudden darkness felt fitting. On the subway ride home, the reflection in the window stared back at me. Tired eyes, slumped shoulders, a stranger in my own skin. I whispered to my reflection. You've become nothing. No one heard. No one cared. When I got home, Emma called. Hey, Rye, you sound off. Bad day? Yeah, I said softly. Just work. You quit yet? Not yet. Then it's a bad day, she said simply. I laughed weakly. You always know. Promise me something, she said. Don't let that job turn you into someone you hate. I hesitated. What if I already have? She was quiet for a moment. Then fix it. You always fix things. Her words stayed with me long after the call ended. I stood in front of the mirror, loosening my tie. The man staring back looked beaten, smaller somehow. I whispered, Fix it, huh? Maybe I still could. But tonight, all I could do was sit in the dark and let the silence swallow what was left of my pride. My birthday fell on a Wednesday. Not that it mattered. I spent the morning staring at the dull ceiling of my cubicle, pretending to work while emails piled up like insults. No one remembered. No one cared. At 5, I started packing up. I'd planned a quiet dinner with Emma. She'd texted, Don't be late this time, Rye. I made your favorite. I smiled at the message, right before Ethan's voice cut through the room. Miller, my office now. I walked in, heart sinking. Yes, sir? He didn't look up from his screen. The quarterly presentation needs to be ready by tomorrow morning. I blinked. Tomorrow? You said next week. I changed my mind. He leaned back, crossing his arms. Stay and finish it. I forced a calm tone. Sir, it's my birthday. My family's waiting. I can finish it early tomorrow. He laughed. Your birthday? What are you, 12? This is business, not kindergarten. It's just dinner, I said quietly. I'll get it done first thing. Are you arguing with me? His voice rose. You've already embarrassed this department once. Now you want to do it again? No, I said. You just what? He stood, walking around the desk until he was inches away. You think your time matters more than mine? My jaw tightened. I've given this company everything I have. Then give more. He smiled thinly. You should be grateful I even trust you with this project. I've been working nonstop for months, Ethan, I said, the word sir slipping away. No weekends, no sleep, no life. Cry me a river, he snapped. You're lucky anyone keeps you. That did it. The words hit harder than any insult before. Something inside me cracked open, quiet but final. Lucky? I whispered. You think I'm lucky to be treated like trash? He scoffed. Watch your tone. No, I said, voice trembling but rising. I've watched everything, my time, my pride, my family slip away for this job. And for what? So you can stand here and call me replaceable? Careful, he warned. You're walking a fine line. I crossed it a long time ago. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my ID card, and placed it on his desk. You want your project? Do it yourself, he blinked. You're quitting? I'm done being your punching bag. You'll regret this, he said, his voice cold and sharp. You think anyone else will hire you? You're nothing without this place. I smiled faintly. Then I guess I'll find out. He laughed, shaking his head. You won't last a week. Maybe not, I said, turning toward the door. But at least I'll sleep tonight. Don't come crawling back, he called as I walked out. I didn't answer. My footsteps echoed through the empty hallway, each one louder than the last. By the time I reached the elevator, my hands were shaking, my heart racing. But for the first time, it wasn't fear. It was freedom. The doors closed, sealing me away from his voice forever. Outside, the city air hit me hard, cool and electric. I leaned against the wall, breath heavy, realizing what I'd just done. Years of obedience gone in one sentence. My phone buzzed. Emma calling. I answered with a shaky laugh. Hey, you're late, she said, teasing. Don't tell me work trapped you again. Not this time, I said. I'm free. There was a pause. Wait, what do you mean free? I quit. You what? Ryan, are you serious? Dead serious, she exhaled slowly. You finally did it. Yeah, I whispered. I finally did. Are you okay? I looked up at the night sky, the same one I'd ignored for years through office windows. I don't know, I said honestly. It feels like I just jumped off a cliff. Then learned to fly, she said softly. You've earned it, her words hit deep. For the first time in years, my chest ached not from stress, but from relief. When I got home, I sat in the dark, shoes still on, hands still trembling. The silence was deafening, but it didn't scare me anymore. I felt light, unanchored. I laughed, a raw, shaky sound that turned into tears. Not tears of defeat, not anymore. These were something else. I whispered to myself, "Happy birthday, Ryan." That night I cried until I could breathe again. And for the first time in years, I felt alive. I never realized how loud silence could be until the day I stopped waking up to the shrill ping of company emails. The first morning after I quit, I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the blank wall. No meetings, no deadlines, just the quiet hum of the ceiling fan and the heavy awareness that I'd walked away from everything. Maybe I made a mistake, I muttered to myself. Scrolling through my phone, searching for a message that didn't exist. No apology, no call. Not even a polite HR email confirming my resignation. Just silence. When the rent reminder popped up on my screen, I sighed. Perfect. Let's add poverty to the list. By noon, I had opened every job portal I could find. My resume looked decent. 5 years of loyalty, clean record, strong references. Still, every click of submit application felt like tossing pebbles into an ocean. I waited. Nothing came back. That first week blurred into the second. Coffee turned cold beside my laptop as rejection emails stacked up. Dear Mr. Miller, we appreciate your interest. After careful consideration, we've decided to move forward with other candidates. Each one felt like a slap, another reminder that I was replaceable, just like Ethan said. Emma called one evening, her voice warm but cautious.
Hey, big brother.
How's unemployment treating you? I laughed weakly. Like an abusive relationship I can't escape from. Ryan, she said softly, you're not defined by a job. Easy for you to say. You didn't just throw away 5 years of your life. You didn't throw it away, she insisted. You escaped it. That's different. Her words hit something inside me, but I brushed it off. Yeah, well, escaping doesn't pay the bills. She was quiet for a second. Do you need money? The question stung. No, I'm fine. You're lying. I said I'm fine, I snapped, then regretted it immediately. Sorry, I get it, she said. You're scared. But Ryan, you didn't lose your worth. You just gave it to the wrong person. That line lingered long after she hung up. I replayed it in my head while staring at the laptop screen, the light reflecting on my tired eyes. You just gave it to the wrong person. I opened my old work folders, projects I had poured my life into. Reports, strategies, late-night presentations. Each file was a piece of me, and each one reminded me how easily Ethan discarded all of it. The next morning, I forced myself to dress like I was going somewhere. Button, shirt, slacks, clean shave. I sat at my desk anyway, staring at the empty inbox. My reflection in the laptop screen looked hollow, like a man fading out of existence. Bills kept coming. Electricity, rent, credit card. I calculated the numbers again and again, trying to make them work. They didn't. My savings were bleeding faster than I could stop them. When Lucas texted me after 2 weeks, "Heard you quit." Brave move. I almost threw my phone. Brave? I muttered aloud. That's one word for it. I typed back, bravery doesn't pay rent, then deleted it. No point. He hadn't defended me when Ethan humiliated me. Now he wanted to act supportive? I shut my phone off and let the silence consume me. Days turned into nights. I stopped keeping track. I stopped showering regularly. My kitchen smelled like stale coffee and regret. I'd sit on the couch and stare at nothing for hours, wondering when exactly I'd lost myself. Then one night, as rain tapped the window, I opened my laptop again. My resume glared at me like an accusation. I closed it and opened a blank document instead. The cursor blinked, waiting. I didn't know why, but my fingers started typing, angrily, fast, without thinking. What if pain could build something instead of destroying it? The thought stopped me. My chest tightened, but not with despair this time, with purpose. I kept writing, notes, ideas, maybe nonsense, but for the first time in weeks, my hands were moving towards something. When I finally leaned back, the rain had stopped. The air smelled fresh, like renewal. My phone buzzed again. Emma. Still awake? I called her instead. Yeah, her sleepy voice came through. You sound different. I think I figured something out. Please tell me it's not another job at Harris & Cole. I laughed, genuinely this time. No, I'm done being someone else's puppet. So what then? I don't know yet, I admitted. But I want to build something that's mine. Even if it fails, at least it'll be me failing. She smiled through the phone. I could hear it. That's my brother. We talked for a while, and when I hung up, I felt lighter. The fear was still there, but it wasn't suffocating anymore. It was fuel. Before sleeping, I looked around my tiny apartment. Messy, dim, but mine. Every unpaid bill, every rejection email, every scar, they all meant I had survived. For the first time in a long time, I whispered to myself, I'm not nothing. And for once, I believed it. The first client I ever got as a freelancer paid me $50 for a business plan that took me 3 sleepless nights to finish. When I hit send on that email, I sat back in my creaky chair and whispered, that's rent for 3 days. The noodles on my desk had gone cold. My eyes burned from staring at the screen, but for the first time in months, I felt alive. No boss, no orders. Just me, my laptop, and the faint hum of possibility. I opened a new spreadsheet. Okay, Ryan, I muttered. You're officially a one-man company. The next few weeks were brutal. Days bled into nights and nights into more caffeine. I learned to stretch a single meal over 12 hours. Instant noodles became my best friend. My internet bill was my lifeline. Still, every time I finished a project and saw a small payment come through, I felt a spark. I earned that. But the fear lingered. What if this all collapsed? One evening, while scrolling through a freelance forum, I saw a post. Looking for a business strategist to collaborate with a startup designer. I hesitated. Collaboration meant trusting someone again, something I hadn't done since Lucas. But I clicked anyway. The reply came within minutes. Hi, Ryan. I'm Sophie Grant. I saw your portfolio, really loved your clarity. I'm building a design consultancy and could use your strategic side. Want to chat? Her message had energy, confident, direct. I typed back before I could overthink it. Sure, let's talk. We hopped on a video call that night. She appeared on screen with messy hair tied back, sketchbook beside her, and the kind of smile that didn't try too hard. Hey, so you're the corporate escapee, huh? I laughed. That obvious? Your portfolio screams survivor of boardroom trauma, she teased. Guilty, I admitted. And you? The creative rebel? Always, she said. I design for startups who can't afford fancy agencies but deserve something real. You handle the numbers, I handle the pretty stuff. Fair trade. We worked together on a small client the next week, a bakery launching an online store. I handled the business strategy. She designed the brand. Watching her work was like seeing chaos turn into art. She'd send me drafts at 2 a.m., and we'd argue over fonts like it was life or death. Helvetica is too corporate. She'd groan. And Comic Sans is a crime. I'd shoot back. Those nights turned into something I looked forward to. The laughter, the teamwork. It reminded me of what purpose felt like. When we submitted our first joint project, the client sent a long thank you email. This is exactly what I dreamed my business could be. I stared at the screen, smiling. We did it, I said aloud. Sophie called instantly. We nailed it. Yeah, I said, grinning. Feels different, doesn't it? Feels real, she said softly. Not like working for someone else's ego. We started getting more clients. Tiny ones, mostly. Cafes, Etsy shops, small brands trying to survive. Every success felt monumental. I even splurged one week and ordered real food instead of noodles. When Sophie found out, she texted, "Celebrating with a burger, huh?" I replied, "Living like royalty." She sent back a photo of her dinner, a burnt grilled cheese. Freelance life, luxury edition. It became our inside joke. But behind the humor, I felt something shifting in me. Confidence, joy, belief. One night, after another long session, Sophie said, "You ever think about how far you've come?" I shrugged. "Far enough to stop hating mornings," she smiled. "That's progress." Silence settled for a moment. I found myself asking, "Why did you start freelancing?" She paused. "Because I got tired of building dreams for people who didn't even remember my name." I nodded. "Yeah, that hits home." She looked directly into the camera. "So let's build something that has our names on it." The words hit like lightning. I felt it, that pull I hadn't felt since before Ethan broke me. The next day, we rebranded ourselves. Grant and Miller Consultancy. It sounded absurdly official, like two people who actually knew what they were doing. We built a simple website. Sophie designed it, sleek and clean. I wrote the tagline, "Small teams, big impact." When it went live, we both stared at the screen in silence. Sophie whispered, "We did it." "Yeah," I said, "from nothing." That first week, we got 2 new inquiries. Nothing big, but enough to prove it was real. "Looks like people are noticing," Sophie said, smiling through the phone. "Or we're just really good at pretending we have our lives together?" I joked. She laughed. "Fake it till you make it, partner." "Partner," I repeated, liking how it sounded. We worked late every night, sharing ideas, mistakes, and quiet moments. Sometimes she'd hum while designing, and I'd stop typing just to listen. "Don't you dare record me," she warned once. "Too late," I teased. "Gonna sell your voice as inspiration for freelancers everywhere." She rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." "Maybe," I said. "But I'm finally happy." The truth was, I was. As weeks passed, money started to trickle in steadily. My fridge had real food again. My nights were filled with purpose, not despair, and one evening, as I closed my laptop after a long day, I whispered, "You did it. Ryan, you built something from nothing." The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. Maybe success wasn't a corner office or a paycheck with zeros. Maybe it was this, a small desk, a cluttered apartment, and someone who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. When Sophie called that night, just to say, "We're just getting started," I smiled into the dark. "Yeah," I said quietly. "We are." The email subject line stopped me cold. "Proposal for collaboration, Ethan Cole." For a long moment, I just stared at it. The same man who once made me stay till sunrise for a minor report now wanted to collaborate. I opened it slowly, almost expecting it to vanish. "Ryan, I know this may surprise you. Harris & Cole is going through a restructuring crisis. Your firm's approach aligns with what we need. I'd like to discuss a potential partnership." I laughed under my breath. "Partnership, huh?" Sophie peeked over my shoulder. "Wait. That. Ethan?" "The one and only," I said. "He must really be drowning," she frowned. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to meet him," I said, standing up. "Why?" she asked. "Because some ghosts deserve to see who I became. When I walked into the same building I once left broken, it felt surreal. The fluorescent lights hadn't changed, but I had. My reflection in the glass doors wasn't the tired man I remembered. It was someone who'd rebuilt himself from ashes." The receptionist looked up. "Mr. Miller, Mr. Cole is expecting you." "Of course he is," I said quietly. When I entered the conference room, Ethan was already there. Same tailored suit, same smug posture, but the confidence was cracked. "Ryan," he said, forcing a smile. "It's been a while." "Not long enough," I replied, taking a seat opposite him. He cleared his throat. "I'll get straight to it. Harris & Cole is facing severe client loss. We underestimated how fast people would leave. Your consulting model, helping employees start independent businesses, has, frankly, gutted us." I folded my arms. "Karma's efficient when motivated." He sighed. "I suppose I deserve that." "You do," I said flatly. "But go on." He slid a folder across the table. "We're offering a partnership. We need your firm's help to rebuild. You'd oversee employee retention strategies. Name your terms." I stared at the folder without touching it. "You're asking me to fix the system that destroyed me." "I'm asking you to help us evolve," he said quickly. "We can't survive without change." His tone was calm, but I saw it, the tremor in his hand, the twitch in his jaw. The man who once terrified me was now afraid. "Why me?" I asked quietly. "You could hire anyone." "Because no one understands what we lost better than you," he said. "You were one of our best." I almost laughed. "You fired threats at me on my birthday." He looked down. "I know, and I regret it. Regret doesn't erase what you did." "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he said softly. just a chance to make things right. The silence stretched. I could hear my heartbeat echoing off the glass walls. Finally, I leaned back. You know what the difference is between us, Ethan? He looked up. What? You built power by breaking people. I built mine by helping them stand again. He swallowed hard. You've changed. No, I said. I just stopped being afraid of men like you. He smiled faintly. Then maybe I taught you something after all. I met his eyes. You did. You taught me what not to become. The words landed heavier than I expected. Ethan blinked slowly, his shoulders sinking as if something inside him cracked. Ryan, he started, but I stood up. I don't need your partnership. What I needed, I already got. Peace. He stayed silent. I could see the battle behind his eyes, pride wrestling with guilt. You know, I said quietly, there was a time I would have given anything for your approval. Now your apology just sounds like background noise. Ethan's voice broke slightly. You deserve the success you found. I mean that. Then keep meaning it, I said, moving toward the door. He called after me. Ryan, do you ever hate me? I paused, my hand on the handle. No, hate's too heavy to carry. I turned slightly. You already have enough of it for both of us. The room went still. His mouth opened as if to respond, but no words came out. For once, Ethan Cole, the man who always had the last word, had none. As I walked through the lobby, every step felt lighter. The same elevator that once felt like a coffin now felt like a launch pad. The same walls that once closed in now seemed wider, brighter. Outside, Sophie waited in the car. Well? She asked. He offered me a partnership, I said, smiling. And? I declined. She grinned. Of course you did. I told him he taught me what not to become. Her eyes softened. That's the best revenge, dignity. Exactly, I said. I didn't need to win the argument. Just showing up was enough. We drove away, the city lights blurring past. My chest felt lighter than it had in years. Sophie glanced at me. How do you feel? Free, I said simply. Like I finally closed a door I never needed open. She smiled. Then, I guess the story's done. I looked out the window at the skyline glowing against the night. No, I said quietly. The story just changed authors. As we crossed the bridge, I took one last glance at the Harris and Cole building disappearing behind us. For years, that place owned me, my time, my dignity, my peace. Now it was just a building full of ghosts I'd already buried. I whispered, "Goodbye, Ethan." Sophie looked over. What was that? Nothing, I said, smiling. Just talking to the past. She laughed softly. You do that a lot. Yeah, I said, watching the skyline fade into the horizon. But this time, it finally listens. The sky burned orange as the sun melted behind the skyline. Sophie sat beside me on the balcony, legs crossed, hair tangled from the breeze. You're quiet again, she said softly, handing me a mug of coffee. Thinking about him? I smiled faintly. Maybe. Not in anger, though, just in reflection. She tilted her head. You ever imagine how different things could have been if you hadn't left? I leaned back. Sometimes. But then I look at this. I gestured to the horizon, to the faint laughter from our small office inside, where our team still worked late, not out of pressure, but passion. And I know I made the right choice. Sophie's smile warmed the fading light. You rebuilt everything from ashes, Ryan. That's not luck. That's strength. Strength? I laughed quietly. There were nights I wanted to quit. I thought the world had decided I wasn't good enough. But pain, it teaches patience. I stopped chasing approval and started building peace. Sophie looked down at her mug. And now that you have it, what will you do? I'll protect it, I said. Peace doesn't come often. When it does, it's sacred, she nodded. He called again, didn't he? I froze for a second, then sighed. Yeah, Ethan sent another email yesterday. What did he want this time? A job, I said flatly. He said he admired how I turned things around and that he'd be honored to work under me. Can you believe that? Her eyebrows rose. Under you? That's poetic. It's strange, isn't it? I murmured. He once made me feel like I was disposable. Now he's the one waiting for a reply that'll never come. Sophie leaned closer.
Did you even think about responding?
No, I said, because there's nothing left to say. The conversation ended the day he fired me. The wind brushed against us, carrying faint echoes of the city below. Traffic, laughter, life. Sophie placed her hand over mine. Then don't let his shadow touch this chapter of your life. I won't, I whispered. It's just surreal. Harris and Cole shut down completely last month. The same walls that trapped me in misery are now empty. And for the first time, I don't feel vengeful. I just feel free, Sophie smiled. Freedom suits you. Maybe, I said. But you know what the best part is? He used to say I'd never make it without him. Turns out I never would have made it with him. Her laughter was soft but sincere. You've changed, Ryan. I had to, I said. The old me wanted validation. The new me values peace. We sat in silence for a while, watching the fading light dissolve into dusk. My phone buzzed beside me. Another message from Ethan. I didn't open it. I just turned the phone face down, Sophie noticed. You're not even curious? I already know what it says. Regret has a pattern. It always arrives too late. She nodded slowly.
You ever think karma's real?
I do, I said. Not in the mystical sense, but in the way the world eventually mirrors your choices. Ethan forced me into overtime, humiliated me in front of others, made me believe success was measured by control. Now he's the one losing sleep, watching someone else control what he built. Her expression softened. And you? What do you measure success by now? Time, I said simply. I own my time. No meetings that drain me, no people who manipulate me. I decide who I spend it with. Sophie smiled, looking toward the horizon again. That's beautiful. Peace always is, I said. It's quiet, but it fills everything. She laughed lightly. You're starting to sound like a philosopher. Occupational hazard, I said with a smirk. Running a company that preaches balance tends to make you practice it. Inside, through the open balcony door, our small team was celebrating another successful quarter. Music played faintly. Someone cheered my name. I smiled. Sophie nudged me. Go join them. They're your people. Our people, I corrected. R&S exists because of both of us. Her cheeks flushed. You always say that. Because it's true, I said. You didn't just help build a business, Sophie. You helped rebuild me. Her eyes glistened for a second. You know, a year ago, I met a man who couldn't even look at himself in the mirror without seeing failure. Now look at you, I chuckled. That man still visits sometimes. But I tell him to take the night off. She laughed, leaning her head on my shoulder. You deserve this peace. For a while, we just sat there, letting the night settle in. The stars began to flicker above, shy but steady. The city lights twinkled like a reflection of everything I'd once chased but no longer needed. Sophie whispered, Do you think he'll ever change? Maybe, I said. But that's his story now. Mine's about letting go. She looked at me with quiet admiration. Then let's keep writing it. We clinked our mugs together and drank, the coffee now cold but comforting. In the distance, I could almost hear the faint echo of the past, Ethan's voice, the tension, the fear, but it no longer had power over me. I smiled, murmuring, He forced me into overtime. But now I control my time. Sophie squeezed my hand. And that's the sweetest revenge there is. As the wind whispered through the balcony, I realized something I'd never said aloud. The real victory wasn't in his downfall. It was in my peace. I'd spent years trying to prove myself to the wrong people. Now I was finally enough for the right ones. The night deepened, but I didn't feel darkness. Just balance. Just quiet. Just me, whole, free, and finally home. The room glowed with soft light and laughter. Emma stood beside her new husband, radiant, her smile brighter than the chandeliers above. When the host handed me the microphone, I felt my palms sweat. Sophie squeezed my hand under the table. You've got this, she whispered. I rose slowly, heart steady but full. Hi, everyone, I began, forcing a nervous smile. I'm Ryan. Some of you know me as the guy who always shows up late but somehow still manages to finish the job on time. The crowd chuckled lightly. Emma rolled her eyes playfully. I took a breath. When Emma asked me to speak tonight, I thought about what to say. About love, about life, about falling apart and starting over. My eyes drifted over the tables. Near the back, half hidden behind a pillar, sat Ethan. His posture slumped, his eyes hollow. He looked nothing like the man who once commanded rooms with arrogance. I held his gaze for a second, then turned back to the mic. I've learned, I continued, that sometimes life has to break you before it rebuilds you. That failure isn't the end. It's the start of something honest. Pain doesn't destroy character. It reveals it. The room quieted. Even the clinking glasses stopped. I used to think revenge meant winning against the people who hurt you, I said, my voice softer now. But standing here tonight, I realize it's about peace, about thanking the pain that pushed you to grow. I looked at Emma. You once told me, you didn't lose your worth. You just gave it to the wrong person. You were right. And tonight I want to thank everyone who made me lose and learn, especially the ones who walked away. A few people smiled, unaware of who I meant. But Ethan knew. I could feel it. I set the mic down gently. Here's to endings that lead to beginnings, I said, raising my glass. To forgiveness, quo not for them, but for ourselves. The guests cheered. Emma hugged me tight, whispering, I'm proud of you. As I pulled away, I caught Ethan's gaze one last time. I didn't hate him anymore. I simply nodded, silently thanking him, because his cruelty built the man I am today.